Hello and welcome, everyone, to this 37th episode of the Backwards K Baseball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Asbrock, and I am joined each and every episode by my co-host, Scott Kaiser. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
This has been the opening weekend from hell. This has not been good. Not great. I'm here, Chris. I'm here, but
well, at
mostly
least you're here.
I have to be
because I've got to be.
Man, it's been a rough couple of days, but baseball is back, and with it comes all the pains of it. We've got a great show for you guys tonight. There's plenty to talk about that happened this weekend, but we are going to start with the breaking news that Jeff Passan dropped not too long ago before the show started, that the Braves' newly acquired left fielder Jurickson Profar will be suspended 80 games by Major League Baseball for violating the substance abuse policy in regards to performance enhancing drugs. Braves released a statement basically stating that they were blindsided. Profar came with the apology and the sorry, I didn't know this would happen, yada yada yada. Long story short, the Braves are screwed. The only move they really made this offseason is notable because I bitched about how much they didn't do. And when they finally signed Profar, it was like, okay, all right, makes a little bit of sense to get things going. And boom, just like that, 80 games done for half the season. Also, should they make the postseason, Profar will be ineligible for that. So even if he comes back and plays well, this is the first year of a 3-year, $44 million deal that he's just signed.
Oof.
It's just keep on coming. I got nothing other than this sucks, and it's unexpected, and I don't know. The Braves they made a trade.
I was going to say that came up, and I was like, oh. It was an odd deal, like out of nowhere.
Here's the thing: the trade for Fairchild with the Reds took me by surprise, so much so that I didn't find out about that transaction until you mentioned, "Oh, that must be why they traded for Fairchild," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so," because I had missed that they traded for Fairchild. My first introduction to any of this was the Profar news, and so then it was like, oh, they also traded for Fairchild from the Reds shortly before this news came out, obviously trying to fill the void of Profar. But yeah, not good. Yeah. Bob. Acuna's still out for a few more weeks. Even when he comes back, expected to take it slow. The Braves have struggled out of the gates. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a few minutes. But it has been one bad news Bears situation after another for the Braves to start the season. I'm not thrilled. Chris, what do you got for me? Tell me there's hope. There's some type of silver lining.
There's hope.
Tell me that Stuart Fairchild is the next coming.
I can't do that. I can't. I wish I could, my man, but
no.
I mean, I can't. Well, the funny thing is, like, so earlier today, I was sitting on my couch planning what would be the show, and I got this like alert through X/Twitter, and it was saying like. It was from a Reds account. It said something like, best of luck to Fairchild. And I was like, what in the hell? And I looked up and I was like, oh, you got traded to the Braves. And I was like, well, that's kind of odd. I'm like, well, okay. And then literally, man, maybe an hour or two after that is when you had sent the text to me saying like, Jesus Christ, like, Profar. And I'm like, oh God, I saw, and I was just, so that made sense. So I guess from my understanding is that teams like are usually notified. So this, I don't know in terms of like when this test was taken, but I'm assuming it was probably right at the beginning of the season or before the season started.
The speculation is it had to be an off-season test based on timing and everything like that. So because sometime in between signing the contract, ironically enough.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah.
And then, because, teams are notified, usually a day or a couple days prior to the suspension actually being, released.
Yes.
I know that's what happened with Noelvi Marte with the Reds, that, the Reds were notified a couple days prior to that. And then, luckily enough, the Braves were at least able to go out and get, Stuart Fairchild, who has played in the major. He's got experience. He's not going to tear the cover
He
off.
is a Major League Baseball player who plays the outfield.
According to his Baseball Reference page, he has played in the majors for numerous games, so we can go with that. Now, I don't think he's complete dog crap, so you're lucky there. Like I said, he's got Major League experience, but he's just not. That's about it. He's a depth piece on a normal team, if that. But now he's going to be your one of your starting.
Laugh a little bit hard, why don't you?
I mean, Scott, that's why I didn't pick you guys to win the division. Shit like this, man. This is why I'm justified in all of it. Yes.
You don't run a tight ship there and things like this, like that. But this.
I mean, 4 games in, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, but like we said, it was obviously an off-season test well prior to the season. I mean, heck, it could have been done in spring training. Like, I don't know exactly the time frame, but come on. I mean, there's just no excuse for this, man. I mean.
Yeah, no, well, and I mean, the unfortunate part is we sat here and we all, the baseball world in general, looked at last year and said, sure is interesting that Jurickson Profar, after years of being a failed prospect at age 31, has a breakout season. But okay, all right, maybe just late bloomer, put it together. Good for him. Kind of a little bit of a feel-good story last year for him and the Padres.
Nope, he went the Barry Bonds route, baby.
Hits the off season and no movement. It was quiet. I guess everybody had the same prevailing thought, like it's not likely that somebody like him just all of a sudden bust out at age 31. So good for him, but also not paying for it after he made just $1 million for the Padres last year. Yep. And then Braves eventually, presumably figuring they got some sort of late off-season discount, signed him to a modest contract, but not a cheap contract with the 33 years for $44 million. I remember being a little bit sticker shocked at that price, but assuming that he produced somewhat similar to what we saw last year, it wasn't going to be crazy overpay. Now all that's out the window. Yeah. Have to assume that last year was aided by this. I mean, even if it wasn't, hard to believe at best that he just decided this offseason. Some people were speculating that possibly he was trying to hurry up, speeding up he had jammed his wrist there in spring training and sat out 2 or 3 weeks with a jammed wrist. And some people thought, maybe he's trying to use it to heal, but it doesn't matter. Stupid, no matter what way you appeal it. Not a smart move, business or baseball wise. You let your teammates down. You signed with this new franchise. You let the fans down. Now you're going up against it. All guys, when they sign a new deal in a city as a free agent, they're coming in trying to impress the city and the fan base and everything and endear themselves. What a way to really just shit all over that. I mean, now he misses. You do it. Right, you missed the 80 games. You got to assume that he's going to come back, be a shell of what he was last year, probably more like what he was to last year's point in his career, which was just a middling starter at the major league level, little to no power, a little bit of speed, but not the athlete and all around talent that we saw on the baseball field last year, clearly without the assistance of some type of juice. Just unfortunate though, man. It sucks for Braves fans, for baseball fans. I know Padres fans were expressing some, disappointment that this happened. Again, they cheered him on during his bounce back last year. And again, you have to assume the worst because, we weren't privy to this information, get it, and because of the circumstances surrounding everything, it's not, ironic that his former teammate Fernando Tatis kind of ran into a similar situation where when he was hurt, he ended up testing positive and missed the 80 games and everything. He's mostly been able to shed that, but that's also because he was much younger when he found success and has still had success in the post era of all that going down. Again, not likely that that's going to be provided for Profar because of the age and the clear outlier of a season that just kind of popped up. So unfortunate, sad, and just irritating. I can't imagine that the Braves front office is a happy place to be at the moment, because you basically just threw $44 million out the door. I mean, you got to pay them. And this is worse than when Ozuna was struggling and had all the issues off the field with his wife and the domestic violence things. And, it seemed like just about every day he was on his way out the door, either DFA or some type of trade. It was able to turn it around, but again, had not just signed. And it wasn't just in the immediacy of, hey, I'm here, and whoops, drop the ball. So I don't know how this all plays out, but it sucks. Because, I mean, there's guys in that clubhouse, too, who are like, hey, we're getting this teammate, that don't know him or barely know him or only know him from playing with him. And it's like, you're going to jeopardize our season right away on something like this. Like we thought we were getting a guy in here to come help us out. And this is what we get for that. So I can only imagine how relationships in that clubhouse, just being newly formed in a lot of cases, are going to suffer because of this.
Yeah, that's not a way to break into a clubhouse. It's just, like you said, you let an entire organization down, a fan base down, obviously your teammates, and it's different if it's different if he had been there, for a while and it happened.
Yes.
Dude, again, you just signed this contract, man, and it's like, come on, and this is how you're going to repay them, type situation. Like, they gave you an opportunity here, and you're going to repay them with an 80-game PED suspension. Like, that's just, it's a shame. Like, I hate seeing stuff like that, but man, it's like, it's just inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable.
It is. I mean, you're a professional, so either get better at cheating or don't do it at all.
Completely agree. I mean, in all seriousness,
I laugh, but it's true, because you got to assume that there's a lot of guys that are getting away with it right as we speak, that are just smarter about beating the testing, or have better ways around it, and either Profar just slipped up or got overconfident or whatever it may be, whatever the reasons are for why he took what he took. It doesn't matter, but he thought he was smarter than the test, and clearly he wasn't. So
that's tough, man. That's brutal.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned that the Braves have struggled out of the gates on top of all of this. One of the remaining winless teams in Major League Baseball to start the season, swept by, again, the former team of Profar in San Diego to open up the year. Braves now headed to LA to start a series there, hoping to get off the schneid. But not an hour ago, before the show started, news out of LA that, in classic baseball injury news, Freddie Freeman slipped in the shower, will not play tonight, and his day-to-day, he injured his ankle the same ankle that he's been dealing with, an injury from it late in the postseason. Only baseball, man. Only baseball can you slip in the shower and get hurt and cost yourself some time on the field. I mean, again, classic baseball injuries, fans of the game. This is nothing shocking. At least once a season, there's an injury that comes out on the injury report that makes you just say, wow, that's baseball.
Oh, it's totally baseball. And that's definitely one of them. Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. It's like, you had mentioned that, and we chuckled before the show started about it. And I mean, it's just, only baseball. I mean, only baseball you get these types of situations, but that's what makes this game great, honestly, because it comes with the quirkiness of, of these goofy injuries, but it comes with the amazingness of, just the game period. And I'm, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing me switch over. I keep looking away. I'm watching Brady Singer right now completely carve up the Rangers lineup for the Reds. I mean, it's impressive to watch. And, so you get that kind of stuff, like a brilliant pitching performance. And then you get, like I said, the quirkiness of a guy slips in the shower and re-injures his surgically repaired ankle. Like, I mean, again, it's only in baseball, man. Only in baseball.
Yeah, classic stuff there. Yeah, I know. Good. It's a rough evening for me, man. I'm trying to get my spirits up and trying to stay positive, but it is a rough start to the season. Braves spent all weekend not hitting, not scoring. Last night on Sunday Night Baseball, managed 1 hit. Got shut out, couldn't score the night before for Spencer Swellenbach, who pitched a beauty of a game. It's been one thing after another. Also, just before the show started, I forgot this bit of beautiful news. Ronaldo Lopez was placed on the IL with shoulder soreness. So,
of course,
not just guys to suspensions. We're going to go on ahead and kick that injury bug up again, because missed that being the reason that our guys weren't going to be on the field. So it's a fun time to be an Atlanta Brave right now. Can I say?
Yeah. I feel for you, man. Normally I like to bust your balls, but man, I'm not going to, I don't want to jinx anything, man. I legitimately do feel bad for you though.
Oh, I appreciate it. Let's move into a little bit more positive territory. Let's talk about opening weekend and everything that we kind of saw on the biggest news outside of the news of Profar, of course, being the Torpedo bats that took the world by storm this weekend when the Yankees were beating down on the Brewers. Put up 20 runs in the game on Saturday, hit the first 3 pitches they saw out of the park for home runs. And then, like I said, the world and baseball world, I mean, this story was on Good Morning America this morning explaining about these new Torpedo bats and what they are and how they became popular and the science behind them and everything. The initial reactions were that, because it's the Yankees, they were doing something, they were cheating, and this had to be some type of tomfoolery that they're about. But of course, we all know that Major League Baseball, you have to get approval for the style of bats, and there's nothing that you could do as far as introducing any type of illegal bat into a game that an umpire wouldn't immediately call out or that the league would. Yeah. Immediately make note of. So the bats are approved for use in the game. Again, the science behind them, hard to kind of break down, but basically there's more bat, or the fatter part of the bat is more near the label, where a lot of these guys, they're finding the sweet spots of each of these players and just making the sweet spot bigger, essentially.
Yeah.
Nothing to it other than that. Kind of one of those things that when it was explained, or the way we're breaking it all down, it was like, why haven't we thought about this before? How is this just now becoming a thing?
And the thing is, like when I first saw it, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, oh shit, Ellie, bases loaded. Oh, here we go. 1 run's gonna score. 2. Oh man, this Reds team, my God, they must be using those Torpedo bats. Oh damn, this is great. But back to that part. When it happened, like when we first saw it, when it started coming out, it was like, some bitch, the damn Yankees are cheating. And then you'd see the breakdown. Then I saw something online. I forget, it might have been through somebody through Barstool, I think, was like breaking down like the rule in the rule book. And I was like, well, there's nothing basically against it. And I'm like, well, shit, you got to give them credit for bucking the system here, but doing it the right way. Good for them. And it's like, well, now I'm curious to see how quickly this catches fire throughout the rest of the league. And then, other teams are going to be using this. Now I would assume it's going to be relatively quickly.
Oh, I heard this morning, almost immediately off the heels of everything that was going on and everything kind of settling down, that the Braves had put in an entire team order.
They're going to need
over the weekend. Apparently, they are.
Make sure you get Fairchild's order.
Yeah. Gonna need it for the whole team after the way they performed the last couple of days, and maybe Profar could have used one on top of whatever he was taking. But apparently, though, not everybody on the Yankees uses them. Aaron Judge, notably, I'm not a Yankees fan and don't usually give them credit, but I will give Aaron Judge credit for somebody asking him about it, and he's like, I don't use them. I think the numbers that I put up over the last couple of years, speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Right, like is pretty solid way of shutting down any suggestion that these bats are in any way, some type of super enhancement. Because look, at the end of the day, you still have to hit the ball. Still have to square it up, still have to hit it on this part of the bat that's designed. And again, it's not anything that if it was any type of super inherent advantage that the league would step in and regulate or whatever. So once the bats get the league stamp of approval, for me, it's pretty much a non-issue. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
If as long as every player is afforded the freedom to use the bat, as long as that's allowed for every single player and it's not just for certain teams or certain players, then go for it. If you think it gives you an advantage, use it. And already, some players are coming out and saying, yeah, I tried it, not for me, or it's not, not my thing or whatever. And other ones are, oh yeah, they swear by it. So we'll see.
It probably has to feel different,
if you spend your entire life using a certain style of bat and wave swinging, I can't imagine all of a sudden trying to get used to something like this. I mean, looking at it, it looks like a fungo bat too. Like when these guys are holding it, that's just what it reminds me of.
It reminds me of those big red, wiffle ball bats that you used as a kid.
Yeah.
Just one of those just when they
they're different looking, but they don't they don't, like I said, there doesn't seem to be anything that it pings my radar as, this shouldn't be allowed, or, Major League Baseball should crack down on it. Because, again, they've looked at it, they've studied it, and as long as it meets all the regulations, I'm good for it. So anybody who's complaining or whining about this, you should probably just get over it. Quickly. I know I did. Like I said, my first instinct was to say, the Yankees found some loophole and the league's going to have to close this. And of course they would be the ones to do this, but turns out, while they the guy that they had working for him, he had gone to MIT and had done the research, and it was just something that they decided to try, and it kind of works. And it's just a different way of doing things, but more or less the same way of doing business. So there's not and just like that, you went from excited to dropping F-bombs.
Because CES just got hit in the wrist.
Oh, well,
son of a bitch.
There's plenty of that. Is he reacting as if it's gonna be a long-term thing? Because Mike Trout also got hit in the wrist to start the year, and in his very first at bat of the year, and it looked like, here we go again. And luckily, Mike Trout made it out of that game without injury. But
let's see, I'm trying to remember which wrist it was that CES had the issue with. This one is his right. So it's his right wrist, so the one he throws with. When they're checking on him here at first base, he doesn't look. Honestly, it looks like he's gonna cry, but I know that's like his normal look, but
expert diagnosis there.
Yeah,
looks like he might cry.
He looks pretty pissed, actually. He's squeezing his glove pretty damn tight, like he's mad.
Well, let's hope that he is going to be all right, because it would be a shame to lose anybody else. We did lose Colton Cowser in a similar way. He will be gone for 6 to 8 weeks after breaking his thumb. I missed what the injury or how the injury occurred. I didn't see it. I don't think he was hit by a pitch. It was in some other fashion, but kind of out of nowhere, because I don't remember hearing about an injury or anything over the weekend, and then all of a sudden the news drops that he was going to miss 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, then it just popped up, and it was like, where did that come from? Because I didn't see anything either. So
Kind of a big blow to the Orioles there in their outfield. Now they do have quite a bit to back up. We've talked about how many bats they have sitting there in AAA ready to go.
They didn't trade any of that depth, like we were
all right, don't listen to us. Knocking on the door, ready to go. But I'm guessing that this means a lot more time for Heston Kjerstad out in the outfield in the short term. And if he were to struggle, I would imagine that would open up the door for Kobe Mayo to get another crack at the big leagues. So the Orioles, the Orioles do have options. I guess it depends on how he's performing. If they have to make that call here in the next couple of weeks, if there any replacements that they use struggle for Colton Cowser. So not the greatest type of news, but just part of the game that unfortunate that happened in the opening weekend.
And also another thing I mentioned, I was pulling up the latest. So, Max Scherzer, he's on the 15-day IL with right thumb inflammation is what.
Yes, another thumb injury that took somebody out, which is one that he's been dealing with for apparently a couple of years now. He said it's been bothering him.
So Ben Nicholson-Smith, who covers the Jays, said Max Scherzer visited a hand specialist today with plans to return to Toronto soon and discuss next steps with team trainers and doctors per John Schneider. So, it's insane. Just another injury to another big name player, to start off the season. I think he only made it, like 3 innings, I believe is what it was. Not even 3 innings, but he left in the third. So, it's crazy, but Max Scherzer, I think, is 37 years old, I think is what it is. I could be wrong on that one. So
he might be a little bit older.
No, he's 40. Kershaw's 37.
I thought he was over.
Yeah,
40.
Kershaw's 37 that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, and Scherzer's 40. So, we just saw Justin Verlander a couple of days ago, and he's 41, 42 years old, something like that. So it's like, these three I trust, as they get older to stay, solid because of just the way they take care of themselves. But, something like a thumb injury to completely just derail, your first start with the Jays is just, it's insane. But again, it's just another name to, to be added to the list already.
And another one I came across remembering earlier is Jose Ramirez, the third baseman for Cleveland, sprained his wrist on an awkward slide. Is going to miss a little bit of time, hoping that it's not worse. But right now, imaging was negative. He's just day to day, but not something that you want to see if you're a fan of Cleveland or in that clubhouse, because heart and soul of that clubhouse leader for them, both in the clubhouse and offensively. So hopefully he's all right. That I think was the only other notable injury through the weekend. Let's talk about some good, positive things that happened, though. You did have Mackenzie Gore on opening day, was able to strike out 13 while only allowing 1 hit through 6 scoreless against the Phillies, who obviously are poised to have a good year, picked to be in the playoffs by many, either through winning the division there in the NL East or going through the wild card. But Mackenzie Gore being able to carve them up on opening day comes as a little bit of a surprise. He has the pedigree, but hasn't been able to put it all together. Been flashes here and there. Last year he kind of stopped and started a bunch of times in regards to being able to strike out double digits. But really, the problem for Gore has been control most of his career, and he doesn't usually get deep enough into games to be able to do this. He's usually effectively wild in the games that even he's pitched his best in. But this was efficient. Like I said, it's the highest amount of strikeouts in a game so far this year, and coming on opening day with 13. That's a pretty strong statement against a team that everybody, even have him pick to win the World Series. So be interesting to see how he can build on that throughout the rest of the season.
For his sake and for the national sake, man, I hope that's what happens. I love McKenzie Gore. I think he's just a solid, just a solid young pitcher, and he was the big piece coming back over in that Juan Soto deal. But yeah, McKenzie Gore, man, I love it. And the side note looks like they took Christian Encarnacion Strand out. So I'm curious to see what's going to.
No bueno.
Yeah. So that's, yeah. Hopefully that's not another one to add to the list, for God's sakes. It's just, my goodness. But yeah, to see a pitching performance like that on opening day is awesome. And like I said, we're watching, like I said, Brady Singer right now, who's, top 7. He's got 82 pitches right now and is absolutely dealing in his Reds debut. So, it's the pitching from what we've seen so far has been, it's been for the most part pretty solid, from top to bottom. I mean, we saw the highs of McKenzie Gore, then we saw the lows of Hiroki Sasaki in his Dodgers debut. Stateside debut. Yeah.
Struggled again to command pitches and walked a bunch of people. But also staying in the National League East in another pitcher who made his debut for the Phillies, and Jesus Luzardo. He has the second most strikeouts in a game so far this season, struck out 11 in his Phillies debut. So, he repaid the Nationals after McKenzie Gore had struck out 13 on opening day. That's big for Luzardo. He struggled to stay healthy last year for the Marlins, and they eventually had to deal him in the offseason, despite him being from that area down there in Miami and wanting to stay. He made it known that he wanted to be a part of the Marlins and did not want to be traded, but ended up getting traded to Philadelphia, and a good debut for him there, striking out 11. Another big story over the weekend was the underperformance and I guess pouting is too strong of a word, but Rafael Devers struggling out of the gate. We know that he kind of sort of unofficially maybe lost his starting third base job to Bregman over there when they made the trade when they signed Bregman, rather, Alex Bregman, in the offseason away from Houston. They announced shortly thereafter that he would play third base, and there was a lot of confusion considering Devers is or was and has been their third baseman there in Boston for a while. Eventually, ceded to the fact that he was going to be the DH, but to start the season was 0 for 16, 12 strikeouts, set a record for the most strikeouts to start the season. In less than 20 at bats. So not a good start for Devers, although the Red Sox in general have been playing well to start the season. So they've got that going for them.
Oh, that they do. I was just kind of going through the standings. again, I know we're 4 games into the season, but there's a lot of surprises already.
Sure, the Marlins being first place in the National League East right now, even 4 games in, is shocking. They had 3 walk-off victories against Pittsburgh to start the season, which is the first time that's ever happened.
How crazy is that? It's to get walked off the first 3 games of your season, that just sucks.
That's rough.
God, Brady Singer again gets out of the 7th. Good Lord, man. That's a hell of a trade. The Reds are looking pretty good so far, 1 start in. But just going through the division standings right now. St. Louis starts off with the sweep of Minnesota to get it rolling. It's Milwaukee gets their teeth kicked in New York for 3 games. And it's just holy cow, man. And then they got murdered today by Kansas City. Milwaukee, the team that you chose, but I said, and realistically, I wanted to stick with the Reds. But, Milwaukee winning the division was some people's picks. They're 0-4 to start. Like you had said, the Marlins 3-1 right now to lead the division. Your Braves, unfortunately, 0-4. The Rockies even have a win over that, but, Detroit and Minnesota they're 0-7 combined to start. Like that's just it's absurd to see the way it's playing out and how, like we always say, you can't win a division in April, but you can lose it. Some of these really good ball clubs are putting themselves behind the 8 ball relatively quickly. And again, I know it's only 4 games in, but starts like this can continue to snowball, and it can get out of hand pretty quick, and you want to do your best to keep it from happening. And that's one thing that, again, teams like Detroit, Minnesota, who were possibly going to be contenders. At least Detroit, we knew, was going to be a legitimate contender in the AL Central. Like I said, Atlanta in the East, they are legitimate contenders. And then obviously Milwaukee, and it's just, things like this, man, it's like you can't get off on the wrong foot to start the season. So, just a couple of the teams here, with the way they started, excuse me, but it's pretty impressive, and surprising on how the season started so far. It's, definitely throws you a curveball, we'll put it that way.
We should also mention there was the concern coming into the year for the amount of weight that Mookie Betts had lost, and just the sickness that kept him out of the series over there in Japan. Well, he ended up having a 2-homer game Friday night and hitting a walk-off. So Mookie's back. He's well. He did miss Saturday night, which was a planned absence. Still regaining his strength, but good to see that Mookie Betts is okay and is going to be okay moving forward. Not okay in regards to the flu and flu-like symptoms being a rather sizable part of the weekend. Bailey Ober struggled yesterday against the Cardinals, got knocked around, 8 hits, 8 runs, only made it through 2 2/3 of an inning. But then we find out after the game that he had been battling flu-like symptoms all of Friday. And it was reported that all he did Friday was sleep and throw up. He was nowhere near ready to play energy-wise, according to some teammates. Went out there anyway, struggled. Hopefully Bailey Ober is going to be all right moving forward. But early season bugs messing with some of the more familiar names of the game. Hopefully they're able to hopefully Bailey Ober at least is able to move past that, like it seems like Mookie has, and other people aren't dealing with that throughout the season, because we're getting out of it's spring and we're getting away from all the cold weather, but you hope that the sickness and stuff like that doesn't affect guys once the warmer months kind of get started back up. So you kind of still have to deal with that for a little bit here, and the threat of colds and whatnot, but that should be smoothed out as we move forward.
Yeah.
Let's see what else was there of note. Eugenio Suarez still tearing it up in Arizona. Came out on fire. Maybe hit 4 home runs to start the season. He's killing it for the Diamondbacks. They started off a little bit slow, but wrapped up their series with the Cubs 2-2 this past weekend. Looking good though, moving forward, able to battle back. Jacob deGrom, looking much like himself. 5 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts on 73 pitches, coming back off Tommy John surgery for the Rangers. So that was good to see. Trying to think.
Oh shit, Ellie just absolutely murdered one. Jesus Christ.
For a home run?
Yeah, he was a triple shy of the cycle, and he said, screw that, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go off the batter's eye. Good Lord.
Well, there you go. What's the score in that game?
14-0, bottom 7 now.
Yikes. Wait, who are they playing?
Texas.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, we said that Kumar Rockers started that game. Oof.
Man, and this is what, on a side note with this Reds ball club, I mean, this is what we've been, he hit that and he admired the absolute holy hell out of that thing. I would have too, my man. That ball was murdered. But, this is what, Reds fans had hoped for was this type of performance here. Like, you're watching Matt McLain, who, Matty McLain has been nothing short of phenomenal so far in his return back for the Reds. So it's great to see. CES has been hitting. Obviously, Ellie is Ellie, and he was my pick to win the MVP. Well, dark horse because we both picked Ohtani, but if Ellie continues to stay on this type of tear, I mean, he's going to be in the top of conversation, for that. But this is what we want to see as Reds fans, and this is what we've been hoping for. This is why you traded for Brady Singer for a performance like this. He's gone 7 so far. I don't know if he's going to come back out for the 8th. I mean, at this point, I won't even worry about it. He's had 80 plus pitches, 7 strong. The offense is, they're rolling right now. This is what you want to see, and this is what I'm expecting. Did they just go? Okay, I was going to say, if they went back-to-back, my God, I would have been unbelievable. But, this is the performance that we've been longing for. And it's going up against a Texas team who's 3-1 coming into this season, or coming into this series, I mean. Texas started off, pretty solid, and, you're taking it to, a younger pitching staff, which what you're going to face, in Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, and I forget who's going tomorrow for Texas, but here's your chance. The Reds are going to win this game, barring an absolutely biblical collapse. You're 2 games back of St. Louis right now. This will get you, depending on what happens. I think St. Louis is playing the Angels this series. For this Reds ball club, I mean, you should be able to take 2 of 3, if not sweep Texas. If you can do that, you put yourself in a really good spot at 4-2, and you're right in the top of conversation, leading the NL Central 2 series in. And that's what you want, man. That's, like I said, you don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball too much, because then it makes it tougher. And I don't know if they'll be able to overcome a slow start like that. So, losing 2 of 3 to the Giants in the way they did, pretty brutal. But, here you go. Now's your chance against a solid Texas team. Let's keep it rolling. And this is, and it starts off with a performance like this right now. Like I said, 14-0 at the end of 7. By all means, let's keep it rolling, boys. This is what, you want to see from a team that needs this, this kind of start in a game early on in the season.
Well, that's gonna do it. That's gonna to wrap this up. There was one more note that I should throw out there as far as sickness. Tanner Bybee missed his opening day start because of food poisoning. So that was another one of those. And I knew there was somebody else that had missed because of being sick. So
also Jackson Jobe going tonight for Detroit against Seattle. So that's when he's making his first major league start. He's pitched before in the majors, but Jackson
first
Jobe
start
tonight. Yeah, first start tonight.
I bet he deals. Seattle sucks.
I know. I want to see it. I'm gonna watch it, man. Like I want to watch him pitch, man.
Well, we'll check back in on Jackson Jobe and all the goings on that happen around Major League Baseball next week. I'm just hoping that the Braves stay out of the commissioner's office, please. That'd be great. Maybe they could hit. Maybe they could hit the baseball. Hey, maybe they'll even have won a game by the time we do another show. I don't know. They're in LA. They're playing the shower injuring Freddie Freeman-less Dodgers. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Either way, we'll be back here next week. I'll be bitching about something, I'm sure. This has been Backwards K. For Chris, I am Scott. You can find us where you find all your fine podcasts. We're all over Twitter, Facebook, the Impact Sports Cincinnati Podcast Network, as well as the Craft Food Sports Podcast Network. Baseball's back, boys. We're happy to be here. We appreciate you joining us every Tuesday night, or every Monday night, rather, for this show. And thank you for your support. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.